Hey everyone, welcome to Throwing Rod's Garage. In this video, we're going to be working on this 2009 Chevy Cobalt. Now, the family that we go to church with, this is their daughter's car. And the other night, we got a phone call asking if I would work on it. And unfortunately, she hit a rock going down a county road and put a small hole in the oil pan. Right there. So, I'm going to get jacked up and I'll show you guys how we can get the oil pan off. It's not so bad, just takes a little bit of time, but I'll walk you guys through it. Of course, here's the part number for the oil pan. Should be fairly simple to replace. I've never done one before, but we'll get it figured out. All right, now with it jacked up, we can see the hole a little better. About the size of a pinky. But it did do a little bit of damage to the transmission pan. I don't think it's leaking, but I'm gonna check it out after we get the oil pan replaced. Make sure that nothing is binding inside, the filter is not getting clogged or anything. If nothing else, I may end up pulling the trans pan off, hammering all these little nicks and dings out, and then refilling it, of course. But we'll check and make sure that the engine is fine first, because she did drive it for, I don't know how long, can't lie on that, but it was running. She shut it off. I don't know how long it ran without any oil. I went ahead and pulled off this passenger side tire. I wanted to remove this cover because there's a hole right here in the frame. You got to be careful. You don't want to lose any of these little bolts down in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a rag or something to block that hole, because I don't want to lose a socket or a bolt. But this has nothing but 13mm all the way around. Got them all along this edge, and one here in the middle, and of course the back side, which isn't too bad. And then you have 4 of these 19mm that are holding on the oil pan to the transmission. That being said, there's another bolt here that has the AC compressor. You only have to pull this one loose. You might have to make the whole AC compressor loose, but I'm going to try without, just with only pulling this one bolt loose. And also there's a little bit of wiring for the dipstick up top. There's a 10mm bolt holding the dipstick tube up here, and a little bit of wire loom. It's underneath here by this AC line, but it's pretty sweet and simple. As soon as you get that broke loose and all the bolts, it should just fall right down. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the bolts all taken out, and I'll show you guys as soon as it's getting ready to drop. Of course, the long bolt goes right here, because it goes all the way through to this transmission mount, but you don't have to worry about the rest of it. It will stay. Now with these front 3 bolts, I'm gonna have to have a wrench for this back bolt, because it's pretty close to this K-member here. But, boy, they are long-winded, but they are breaking loose pretty easily. So, and I put that rag down in there, so we don't have to worry about losing a bolt or socket or nothing. I did leave that one that's in the middle at the rear of the engine by the transmission in, just in case it decided to drop. I don't have to worry about, draining the oil. It's already pre-drained. All right, let's hope this comes out easy. Little problem. Oh, I forgot the one by the AC compressor. I didn't want to start prying, but I thought I was missing something. All right, here's a pry point. Maybe. I'm using my biggest pry bar that I have. It's all siliconed in. They don't use an oil pan gasket, so I'm gonna grab a bigger pry bar. Oh, it's on there. There we go. There shouldn't be. Oh, there is one more little bolt right up here. It's hidden. I don't know if you guys can see my hand. Yeah, you can. Get up there. The rest of them. Oh yeah. Maybe. Just finagle. Gently. Move place. Aha! So close. Leaking more. Alright. Oil pan. Out. Let's take a gander at it. Well, it is only filthy due to the wire loom that is breaking apart from all the wiring up there. Thankfully, I can sit there and make a bigger mess in my shop where I'm going to be laying. But, boy, she's got a lot of miles in the car, but everything looks to be, yeah, filthy. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the mating surface on the block, make sure it's all good and clean because it's made a mess everywhere. No big deal. But I'll get all this cleaned up, get the block cleaned up for the oil pan, get the old dipstick out, and get it prepped for the new oil pan. Now find yourself a great workbench to work on. Sufficient. Make sure that this oil pan matches the old one that's no longer good. Clean up all your mating surfaces and get ready to use some really good silicone. Now this stuff is amazing. I haven't had any bad luck with it. This isn't a paid promotion or nothing, but I love this stuff. It's expensive, but this bottle has lasted quite a while. And just make sure everything's good and clean before you put this stuff on. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this pan prepped, slap it up there, and then I'm gonna find out if I made a big mistake at putting in the dipstick last, which shouldn't be a big issue. I'm gonna replace those O-rings as well. We don't want any more leaks. One thing I wanted to mention before I forgot, you don't want to go hog wild with the silicone. Yes, it has its sealing purpose, but this is an absolute perfect mating surface that goes up against another perfect mating surface, so it just needs to help seal it. It doesn't need to be an actual gasket, especially around this port. You don't want to put too much, which I was in the middle of spreading it out, so I didn't want to forget. But this is the pickup tube for your oil pump. And if you get an excessive amount of silicone in here, it's going to go up through the engine, block some ports, you know, in the cam, journals, the main journals, the rod journals, wherever. You don't want it blocking up, and then once it gets back down into the oil pan, this pickup tube has a screen way down in there. You don't want to block that screen or it's going to starve the engine of oil. So just be precautious on whenever you're putting the silicone on, not to put too much. Make sure you spread it out good and thin and let it tack up before you decide to slap the pan up in there. Make sure you don't bump anything with your mating surface, that way you don't mess up your nice silicone job. And it has the alignment dowels, so you'll have to just line them up as you go. Long bolt and get it started. And I'm gonna start a couple more, and then you want to use the torque sequence all the way around I have yet to look that up yet, but finger tight's okay for right now. All right, with everything being finger tight right now, this is the torque sequence. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I'll hold it there for a second. You can pause. And then it says that these little bolts are supposed to be 18 foot-pounds, and the rear bolts are supposed to be at 106. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out, so I won't bore you guys with it, and we'll be right back. It's been a couple hours now, as you can tell the sun's going down, and I wanted to make sure that silicone had plenty of time to dry. So what better time right now than to change the oil. This does take 5 quarts of 5W30, got a nice AC Delco filter, and if I'm not mistaken, yes, it does come with the O-ring in there. I don't know if you can see it, but we'll get that changed real quick. I went ahead and cleaned up everything underneath best as I could. I will check out that transmission oil pan, and make sure it doesn't leak or scrape like I said earlier. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pull this oil filter out, top it off, and then we'll fire it up. Oh, while I was letting it sit here for a while, I went ahead and check the brakes, make sure everything was good on it, and I'm gonna finish checking the rest of the fluids as soon as I'm done changing the oil. Fresh oil filter, new O-ring, it is oiled. Put it back in place, and then I'll top it off with the 5 quarts that it requires. I also wanted to mention, forgot to mention it, the dipstick tube was super easy. I just fished it down to the top, guided it into the hole with the new O-rings that were oiled, and went right into place, bolted it up. So here's the moment of truth. So we'll see how good it starts. The little car's got 197,325 miles. Fired right up, oil light went off. I'll have to check that check engine light. This tire pressure monitoring system light has been on for quite a while. Check for leaks real quick. Sounds super good and quiet, no ticking. I think she might have stopped it just in time where it didn't get itself hurt. Doing good. I don't see any leaks. All the bolts have been torqued. Transmission isn't making any noise. Wonderful. So I'm gonna let it warm up real quick and make sure it still doesn't leak, put the tire back on it, and go for a quick test drive. Well, the test drive went great. It drove absolutely wonderful, like it should. Shifted great, and there's no leaks. I've already checked the oil, make sure it's full. The poor thing needs a little bath, but underneath, it really needs a bath. There's still some oil dampness from, about the firewall back from where it was spraying everywhere. But other than that, it shifts great. I'm gonna talk to the owners of the car and see what they want me to do about the transmission pan, because it really does need to be replaced more than repaired, because I think if you hammer it down, it's gonna spread out the bolts the wrong way. But I'm gonna give this thing a bath. I know it's dark outside, but I want it to be nice and pretty for him. So she really loves the car, and I wanna make sure it gets back to her in a great condition so she feels comfortable and happy to drive it again. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.